Welcome back to Inherited Dawn, a One Piece podcast. We're your hosts. I'm Franky.
And I'm Robin. Today, we're breaking down chapter 152, Full Moon.
And folks, this is the one. This is the chapter where Luffy extends his hand to someone who has been told his entire life that he doesn't deserve one, and delivers a line but defines what the Straw Hat crew is all about.
A lifetime of being called a monster, of being rejected by both humans and animals, all comes to a head in a single, shouted sentence.
It is an all-timer. If you think this crew is the greatest found family in fiction, if you've ever felt like an outcast who found their place, then you know what this chapter means. And you should probably be subscribed so you don't miss the moment we inevitably get to the next person Luffy saves by just being himself.
A simple click for a very complex crew. Let's get into it.
All right, so we kick off right where we left off. The gang is riding that horizontal ropeway up the side of this sheer cliff face. Nami and Luffy in front, Sanji and Usopp in the back carrying Dalton.
It's a moment of calm after the chaos. They've survived the Lapans, they've survived the ascent, which, let's not forget, involved Luffy climbing a sheer icy cliff face with two people on his back and his bare hands and feet. The sheer physicality of what they just endured is staggering.
His fingers were bleeding. He was practically frozen solid. And now they have this moment suspended between the base of the mountain and the summit. It's almost unnaturally quiet. You can just hear the wind and the creaking of the rope. It's a great visual from Oda. It's the deep breath before the final plunge.
And they get there. They reach Wapol's old castle, this giant fortress on top of the world. And the first thing that happens is Dalton, bless this guy, gets up and thanks Luffy. He understands immediately what's going on, that these pirates came here to save his country.
I love this Dalton moment so much. This is a serious, duty-bound man. He's the former head of the Royal Guard. His entire life is structured around law, order, and loyalty to the crown. And a kid in a straw hat, a wanted pirate, just did more for his country in one day than he's been able to do in years.
It's a complete inversion of his worldview. The world government, the Marines, the institutions he's supposed to trust, they let Wapol run amok. They legitimized a tyrant. Yet these pirates, the supposed agents of chaos, are the ones bringing justice.
Right. He's not suspicious. He's not telling them to get lost. He sees what they've done for Vivi. He sees Nami's condition, and he just gets it. He looks past the Jolly Roger and sees their actions. He knows they're on the same side. It's a recurring theme, isn't it? The people who hold titles are often the least heroic, and the people branded as villains are the ones who save the day.
A force of nature is the perfect way to put it. Then we get the real boss of this mountain making her entrance. Dr. Kureha steps out, sees the state everyone is in, and just immediately takes charge. She tells them to bring the wounded inside.
And her introduction is perfect. She's carrying a bottle of liquor, wearing a crop top, and looks for all the world like she's in her prime, despite being, as we learn, incredibly old. She radiates an energy that is both threatening and deeply reassuring. You know you're in good hands, but you also know it's going to cost you.
She's got that happy to help ya skull and crossbones on her shirt. This woman is a pirate in spirit through and through. She lives by her own rules on top of a mountain, answers to nobody, and charges whatever she wants. She's basically a Yonko of medicine.
And we get a perfect comedic beat. Sanji and Nami, who are both in desperate need of a doctor, immediately start trying to hide from the doctor.
They know that bill is coming. They know Kureha's treatment is going to cost them everything they own and then some. I love that even while on death's door, shivering with a terrible fever, Nami's first instinct is financial preservation. The treasurer's mind never rests.
Sanji, too. He's been beaten half to death by the journey, but the fear of that medical fee is a powerful motivator. It's a testament to Kureha's reputation. The fear of her bill is almost as potent as the fear of death itself. It's hilarious, and it tells you everything you need to know about her. But the mood shifts, and it shifts hard. They get inside, and Usopp finally lays eyes on the doctor they've been searching for. He sees Chopper.
And we see him through Usopp's eyes. He's peeking from behind a doorframe, a short, furry, bipedal creature with antlers and a bright blue nose wearing little shorts. It's a jarring sight, and Usopp does what any normal person would do upon seeing a bipedal, talking reindeer creature for the first time. He panics.
He just screams, points his finger, and yells that he's a monster. And you can see the impact of that word land on Chopper. It's like a physical blow. Oda draws it so well. Chopper's whole body flinches. His eyes go wide with this familiar, soul-crushing terror.
This is the core of Chopper's entire existence. He has been called a monster his whole life, by the reindeer herd that cast him out for eating a devil fruit and having a blue nose, by the humans who shot him thinking he was an abominable snowman or some kind of beast to be hunted.
That's his deepest trauma, and Usopp, who is a good person, who would never intentionally hurt someone like that, just triggers it instantly. He didn't know. How could he? In a way, Usopp's reaction is the most grounded in reality. He's our anchor to the normal world, and in the normal world, a talking reindeer is a monster.
But the intent doesn't matter, only the result. The word hangs in the air, and for Chopper, it confirms his worst fear. These new people are just like all the others. He immediately flees. He runs from the persecution he's become so accustomed to. This is his default response to meeting someone new.
And what gets me is how Kureha reacts. She's not surprised. She just smacks Usopp and tells him off. She's seen this play out 100 times before. She knows exactly how deep that wound is for Chopper. She's been the only one trying to protect him from that word his whole life.
It's a quiet moment of tragedy before the chaos erupts again. And then Luffy gets so angry. But he's not angry at Usopp for being scared. He's not angry at him for being insensitive. He's angry because Usopp just ruined his big plan.
He stomps over, grabs Usopp by the shirt, and his face is just pure, childish fury. And he yells at him, "I was gonna ask him to join our crew."
That is the most Luffy reason to be mad ever. It's not about the social faux pas. It's not about Usopp being rude. It's that this hiccup is now an obstacle between him and his potential new crewmate. His priorities are just built different. He operates on a plane of existence where the only things that matter are his friends, his dream, and meat.
It is so pure. Sanji's lying there half dead, Nami's burning up, and Luffy's primary concern is that his recruitment pitch for the weird fluffy creature got botched. It's incredible. He has zero filter between impulse and action.
It also tells you everything you need to know about Luffy's first impression of Chopper. He saw a weird, talking, transforming reindeer, and his immediate, unfiltered thought was, I want him on my team. There was no fear, no confusion, just acquisition. He saw a kindred spirit.
Zero hesitation. That's his captain's intuition. He just knows. He saw a cool monster and decided it was his. End of story. And now he's got to fix it. So he runs after Chopper, shouting for him to come back, which, of course,
only makes the terrified reindeer-human hybrid run faster. From Chopper's perspective, a screaming human is now chasing him. It's his worst nightmare realized all over again. The one who was quiet is now yelling and running at him. It's a perfect storm of his greatest fears.
Man, it's just a gut punch. You feel so bad for both of them. Luffy's intentions are so pure. He's literally chasing Chopper to offer him friendship and adventure. But to Chopper, it's a life or death pursuit. It's a chase born from a complete and tragic misunderstanding.
It leaves this really tense, sad situation hanging in the air as we cut back inside the castle. The two characters who are destined to be friends are currently locked in a terrifying game of cat and mouse.
Right, so inside, Kureha is being a doctor. She's got Dalton, Sanji, and Nami all patched up. They're recovering. We see them in beds, bandaged up.
She's clearly incredibly skilled. They were all in critical condition, and she stabilized them with remarkable speed. But she's not just a doctor. She's thinking ahead. She's the island's protector in her own way. She's playing the long game.
She turns to Dalton and asks him a very interesting question. She asks if he knows where Wapol kept the key to the castle's weapon room. She's already preparing for Wapol's return.
This is a crucial detail. It shows Kureha isn't just a hermit. She's been observing, waiting. She knows Wapol is a coward and a fool, but he's still a threat with resources. She's planning a counteroffensive.
Dalton doesn't know. He was part of the old guard. Wapol wouldn't have trusted him with that kind of information. But someone else in the room has a sudden realization.
Nami. She's lying in bed, still weak, but her mind is sharp as ever. Her eyes go wide. You can see the gears turning in her head at lightning speed. She remembers lifting a very specific, very important-looking key from Wapol back when he first attacked them.
It's such a Nami moment. He was trying to eat their ship, and in the middle of all that chaos, she pickpocketed the king. She probably didn't even think about it. It was just pure muscle memory. See shiny thing, acquire shiny thing.
She has the key. She stole the key to the entire arsenal of the man who ruled this country. She didn't even know what it was for. She just saw something that looked valuable and pocketed it. It's the ultimate expression of her character. Her seemingly selfish habits so often end up being the crew's salvation.
That is our navigator. It's pure instinct. And now, in this moment, she sees exactly how valuable it is. Kureha wants it. Nami needs medical treatment. The board is set for a high-stakes negotiation, and Nami is in her element.
So she makes her move. She reveals the key and offers Kureha a deal. Even on her sickbed, she's a master tactician.
It's a masterclass in negotiation. She'll give Kureha the key to the armory, and in exchange, 2 things. 1, all their medical treatment is free of charge. She holds up one finger, and you can just see the confidence.
A condition Kureha seems to accept with a grudging respect. You can see it in her smirk. She appreciates the hustle. Game recognizes game.
And 2, she holds up a second finger, and this is the brilliant part. Kureha could not do anything to stop them from leaving the island when they're ready to go, which is brilliant. She's thinking ahead. She knows a doctor this possessive of her patience might just try to keep them here.
Especially a witch like Kureha. Nami is neutralizing the 2 biggest threats on the mountain, the medical bill and the possibility of being held captive, and she's doing it with a key she stole on a whim days ago. It's a beautiful display of how every member of this crew contributes in their own unique and often unexpected way.
It's just perfect. It's not just about her being greedy. Her skills directly benefit the entire crew's survival and freedom. She just saved them a fortune and guaranteed their escape plan. Zoro cuts things, Sanji kicks things, and Nami leverages stolen goods to fund revolutions and secure passage. It's a super well-rounded crew.
But let's pause on the implications of that key. Why does Kureha want access to Wapol's weapons so badly?
To fight back, right? Wapol is still out there. He's coming back for his castle. Kureha knows this. She's preparing for a siege. She's not going to let him take this country back without a fight.
Exactly. This isn't just about cleaning up the castle. This is Kureha, the island's true guardian, arming the resistance. Nami, a pirate, just handed over the means for the citizens of Drum to reclaim their own country. The key to their liberation was quite literally in a pirate's pocket.
Without even meaning to. She was just trying to get out of a bill and ended up funding a revolution. Classic Straw Hats, man. Changing the world by accident. They stumble into these oppressed kingdoms, break a few things, make a new friend, and leave behind a grassroots rebellion.
It also makes you wonder about Kureha's long-term plan. She's been living on this mountain for decades. She saw the old kingdom fall. She took in the monster, Chopper. It seems like she's been waiting for the right moment, the right catalyst to put things back in order.
And that catalyst just so happened to be a kid in a straw hat chasing a blue-nosed reindeer around her castle. Speaking of which, the scene shifts. Night has fallen.
The castle is lit under a full moon. It's quiet now. The art here is beautiful. The silhouette of the castle against the moonlit sky, the snow blanketing everything. It's serene and lonely. And Luffy is still out there, still looking for Chopper.
He hasn't given up. He's been out there for hours. This isn't just a whim for him anymore. This is a mission. He is determined to get this done, to get his new crewmate. Think about Luffy's tenacity. We saw him climb the mountain. That same stubborn refusal to quit is now focused entirely on finding this one scared, lonely creature.
He finally finds him. Chopper is hiding, still terrified, still convinced they all see him as a monster, and Luffy doesn't come at him aggressively this time. He just stands there. He lets Chopper speak.
And Chopper says it. He says the words that have been holding him back his whole life. He tells Luffy he'd like to be a pirate, he'd like to go with them, but he can't.
Because I'm a monster.
He says it with such resignation, like it's an undeniable fact of the universe. I'm a reindeer with a blue nose who ate a human fruit. I'm not a reindeer, I'm not a human, I am a monster, and monsters don't get to have friends or go on adventures. It's the period at the end of a sentence he's been writing his entire life.
To him, this is not an emotional plea. It is a logical conclusion based on a lifetime of evidence. He is an other. He doesn't belong to any group, so he can't join a new one. He has internalized the world's hatred to the point where he believes it's an objective truth.
It's heartbreaking. All of Luke's love, all of Kureha's tough love guidance, and he still can't overcome this one core belief about himself. The world has hurt him too much. He's built these walls around his heart to protect himself, and now he's trapped inside them.
And this is the moment where another person, a more conventional hero, might try to reason with him. They might say, "No, you're not a monster, you're a great doctor," or "You're not so different." They would try to argue against his self-perception.
But this is Monkey D. Luffy. He doesn't do any of that. He doesn't argue the premise. He doesn't try to change Chopper's mind about what he is. He doesn't offer gentle reassurances.
He just takes a deep breath. The panel focuses on his face. He's not smiling. He's not angry. He's just resolute.
And he just yells at the top of his lungs so the whole snowy mountain can hear it. He yells at him that they don't care.
"Shut up, let's go." That's the literal translation. It's so blunt, so powerful. In some translations, it's "shut up and come with us." But the core message is the same. It is an order, not a request.
It is a super moment. Bro, that's it. That's the whole thesis statement of the Straw Hat Pirates right there in 4 words. Luffy doesn't say, "You're not a monster." He says, "So what if you are? Who cares? I want you on my crew."
He completely sidesteps the argument. He invalidates the entire premise of Chopper's suffering. The world's opinion, the labels, the name-calling, none of it matters. The only thing that matters is that Luffy has decided Chopper is his friend. Your self-hatred is irrelevant in the face of my acceptance.
It's not about acceptance in spite of his flaws. It's a total indifference to what the world even considers flaws. You're a weird talking reindeer? Cool. Zoro gets lost standing still. Sanji only fights with his feet. Usopp lies about everything. Nami steals. Everyone on this ship is a weirdo. You'll fit right in. That's the unspoken message.
Luffy's crew is a collection of outcasts. Each one was a monster in their own town, in their own way. Let's look at the roster. Zoro was the demon bounty hunter, a blood-soaked killer nobody in Shell's Town dared to approach.
Luffy just saw a guy who was tough and had a cool dream. He didn't care about the reputation.
Nami was the witch, the treacherous cat burglar who betrayed her village over and over, a monster who worked for their greatest enemy, Arlong.
Luffy just saw someone who was crying and needed help. He didn't care what she'd done. He just knew he had to smash the thing that was making his navigator sad.
And Sanji was the oddball cook on a restaurant ship, the one who would rather feed a starving enemy pirate than let him die, a soft-hearted trait that made him an outcast in that rough-and-tumble world.
Luffy just tasted his food and knew he'd found his cook. Simple as that. He didn't need a resume.
And now Chopper, the literal monster. Luffy doesn't collect heroes. He collects people the world threw away and tells them they have a home with him. He finds the ones who don't fit anywhere else and says, "You fit with me."
That's it right there. He doesn't fix them. He doesn't change them. He just accepts them completely and unconditionally. And that acceptance gives them the strength to become the best versions of themselves. Zoro becomes the world's greatest swordsman. Nami draws a map of the world. Sanji finds the all blue. They can achieve their dreams because their captain doesn't care about their baggage. He just wants them to be free.
That one line from Luffy is more healing than any medicine Kureha could ever provide. It's the cure for a lifetime of loneliness. He's not just inviting him to be a pirate, he's inviting him to be part of a family. He's telling him that the label of monster doesn't disqualify him. In a way, it makes him one of them.
And with that, the chapter ends, leaving us on that raw, powerful declaration hanging in the cold night air. The invitation has been made. Chopper's walls have been shattered by a cannonball of pure, unfiltered acceptance. He is officially a Straw Hat.
Officially the doctor of the Straw Hat Pirates. We have a doctor! This is a monumental moment for the crew on a practical level as well.
This is huge. No more patching themselves up with whatever Usopp can cobble together. No more Nami getting a life-threatening illness from a random bug bite. They have a real, professionally trained medical expert on board.
It changes the entire dynamic of their journey. They are a much more viable, sustainable crew now. They can take more risks because they have a safety net. The Grand Line is an incredibly dangerous place. Proceeding without a doctor was frankly reckless. This fills a critical role they've desperately needed since they set sail.
An adorable, fluffy safety net who can turn into a giant raging beast. I love it. What a perfect chapter. Just peak One Piece from start to finish. The pacing, the comedy, the character work, that emotional knockout punch at the end, it's a masterpiece.
I agree. The balance of comedy with Nami's negotiation, tension with the chase, and that incredibly powerful emotional core is Oda at his best. It's a chapter that will stay with you long after you've read it.
Absolutely. Let us know in the comments what you think is the single most important quality in a Straw Hat crewmate. Is it strength, a dream, or is it just being weird enough for Luffy to find you interesting?
An interesting question. Now, shall we move on to predictions for chapter 153?
Let's do it. You go first, Robin.
Okay, my first prediction, the next chapter will open not on Chopper's answer, but on Kureha and Dalton. They will use Nami's key, and we will see the inside of Wapol's armory. They will begin planning the defense of the island.
Ooh, I like that. The practical side of the revolution. What else?
Second, now that Chopper has been confronted with his past and offered a future, we are primed for the full flashback. I believe next chapter will begin the story of his life with Dr. Hiraluk. We need to understand the depth of the wound before we can see it fully heal.
The timing feels right for that. You can't have this massive emotional breakthrough without showing us what led up to it. Okay, one more.
My final prediction is that Wapol and his two cronies will reappear at the base of Drum Rock. He's been defeated, but he's not gone. I think his final desperate gambit will be to try and use his munch ability to eat the ropeway, trapping them all on the mountain.
That is a classic villain move. I can see that. Okay, my turn. Prediction 1. We open on Chopper's face, and he is just bawling. Not sad tears, but tears of pure relief. The emotional dam has broken, and he just accepts, probably without even being able to speak.
A cathartic acceptance. I could see that.
Second, I think we get the official recruitment party. Sanji is back on his feet, he's gonna cook a massive feast to celebrate their new doctor, and we'll get a classic Straw Hat banquet scene in Wapol's stolen castle. Luffy will probably try to eat all the medical cotton candy.
A moment of levity is definitely needed. What's your last one?
My third prediction is that by the end of the chapter, a fully recovered Nami will be at a map pointing. She's going to remind everyone that this was a detour. The mission is Alabasta. She'll refocus the crew and we'll have our heading for the next stage of the journey. The clock is still ticking for Vivi.
A strong possibility. Her pragmatic nature is the perfect thing to ground the crew after such an emotional high.
Exactly. Well, those are our predictions.
We'll see which, if any, come true next time.
A huge thank you to everyone for tuning in. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our breakdown of Chapter 153. I'm Franky.
And I'm Robin.
And this was Inherited Dawn. We'll see you on the high seas.